Welcome. This is class number 5 of our 6-week program, Beginner's Guide to Yoga Movement. What I'd like to start with today is another breathing exercise, and this practice is called Ujjayi. And Ujjayi is a breath of a whisper, so it's a resonating sound in the throat. The reason that you would use this breath, it's a tool for concentration. So when you're breathing, you feel your breath coming and going, and now we're going to add the auditory sense so that you can hear your breath moving as well. When you create a sound with Ujjayi, you can also notice the little glitches, interruptions, and the hesitations within your breath. And so Ujjayi breath will help you feel and be able to iron out the wrinkles of the breath, let you know when you've gone too far, when you're over-efforting. It also allows you to hear the breath so that if you're not hearing your breath, there's a strong possibility that you might actually not be breathing. So that's why Ujjayi is a very useful tool. It's also very good for the change of seasons. It stimulates the immune system, which is very good when you're transitioning from fall to winter, winter to spring, etc. So now, Ujjayi breathing, we want to use the same breath techniques that we've been working with. So diaphragm, ribs expanding, very slowly bringing the breath all the way in, pausing, taking the breath all the way out. So we're going to add the sound breath into that method of breath. So I'd like you to start right now by simply lining yourself up. You can lay yourself back if you'd like, or sit on a cushion, or even sit in a chair. Allow your eyes to softly close and bring your attention to the movement of your breath. And bring the breath all the way in, pause, take the breath all the way out, and pause. You're working with your diaphragm, the rib cage. And gently release the diaphragm first and let the rib cage follow. Now, Ujjayi breath is a simple sound of a whisper, so all we're going to add is this aspiration in the throat to the breath that you're already cultivating. So it sounds like this. So if you breathe with your mouth, it's you do it on inhale as well, so it's now, if you're using the whisper breath, if you bring your fingers right by the throat where the larynx is, and you just go, ah, you can feel the vibration in your throat. If you just simply talk, la 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 la, do re mi, 1 2 3, you can feel that vibration. And so what we're going to do is we're going to keep that vibration, only we turn it into a whisper. So, so you inhale and exhale with that sound. But now we don't want to be breathing through our mouth because it's very inefficient and you're also dry yourself out. So you're going to start out with the mouth open, and then you're just going to simply close the mouth but keep the breath moving, and so it'll move through the nasal passage. So it looks like this. So the breath is at the diaphragm and the rib cage, and the mouth and the nose are just simply the pathways of which the breath comes in and leaves the body. All right, so now once you feel that, then what you're going to do is not use the mouth. You're going to simply breathe through the nasal passage. Now, as you're learning this breath, at first this Ujjayi breathing is a little bit loud. It has a very breathing in like a megaphone kind of a way, has a Darth Vader kind of an energy. And what we do as we get more and more refined with the movement of Ujjayi, the only person who really hears your Ujjayi breathing is you. So it's very soft and very subtle. So eventually it just simply sounds like this. And you'll notice you probably barely hear it. All right? So this is our practice of Ujjayi. Now you can use Ujjayi during your asana practice, but you want to make sure that you're never creating over tension in the throat. So the throat is soft. It's just a slight vibration, the gentle breath of a whisper. It's for concentration and for allowing you to see the interruptions and the hesitations in your breath when you're doing your asana vinyasa practice. All right? Now from there, let's bring ourselves up. We're going to run through our A and our B series again, and now I'm going to break our A and C series, and I'm going to break down the B series for you today. All right, so let's bring ourselves up. Clear your space and come to the front edge of your mat. Find your feet. Spreading the toes out, follow the big toe, the little toe, the center of the heel. And the arms are just resting along the sides of your torso. Tadasana, standing mountain posture. And let's bring our hands to heart center, softly gazing downward. We'll take a deep breath in. With our exhale, our arms release. As we inhale, they stay in front of the line of the torso. We bring our palms together, arching back, lift the chest up. And then as we exhale, we're going to come into our own lap. Tuck our chin, look towards the navel. Let's take our right foot, step it back into the outside. We're going to drop our knee down, point our toe, use our front leg to lift ourselves up away from the lunge. And then use the front leg to gently pull you forward. Pause. Now you can just stay here in this variation of the lunge, or if you'd like, you can bring the arms up and come into a crescent moon variation. Notice that you're not grabbing with the legs or dumping. And then as you exhale, bring your hands down to the floor, lift the knee up, step back into the downward facing dog. We hinge forward into the plank position, drop our knees, our chest and our chin into the 8-point stick. Feet stay on the floor, honey high. Inhale, come onto the belly, point your toes. Now we lift the chest up, the pubic bone, the knees, the feet stay on the floor. Inhale, we pull ourselves right out of our pants, turn our toes under, and as we exhale, we pause and lift the knees and go back into our downward facing dog position. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath. Take another deep inhalation. As we exhale, look between our hands and let's take our right foot forward. We're going to drop our knee down and we point our toe, lift up away from the lunge. Now as we exhale, we bring the knee forward. Remember, you can rock back and forth a bit. We pause right where we feel like the poses are starting to fall apart. You can stay here, or if you'd like, bring the palms together, lifting up, variation on crescent moon. As we exhale, bring your hands down, turn your toes under, pick the knee up, push off the back foot, bring both feet back to the front into the standing forward fold. Let's take our arms, sweep them open, pull our heart forward, rising up, palms together, arch back, lift the chest, and then as we exhale, release and bring our hands back to heart center, back to where we started. And now we're going to move on to a refresh of the A series sun salutation. So ball the big toe, little toe, center of the heel, hands at heart center. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, the arms release. Inhale, arms over heart center. High prayer, no back bending here. Then as we exhale, come into your own lap. Tuck your chin and look towards navel. Bring your hands to your hips, pull your heart forward, half lifting. With our exhale, let's bring our hands to the floor. We step both of our feet back into the downward facing dog. Hinge forward into the plank. Chaturanga Dandasana, and we come on down. Now point the toes, lift the chest, then pick up the back bend. Launch your legs, soft eyes off cheekbones. Exhale, we drop the knees. We turn our toes under. We lift and hinge back into the downward facing dog.
Now we're going to take our left foot, we're just going to dial the femur out a little bit so the foot only turns out about 1 inch or so. Our right foot's going to come behind our right hand, and so when we rise up, our feet are offset. Now we're going to bring the Virabhadrasana 2 posture into this sequence. So we simply bend our front knee, we pull the back hip forward, and when the hips want to deviate or the feet want to change, we just stop. Inhale, we bring the palms together, lifting up the back of the torso. Soften your eyes, soften your feet. And then as we exhale, we're going to come back down, bring our hands to the mat. We step both of our feet back into the downward facing dog. Hinge forward into the plank position. Chaturanga Dandasana, pause. Come on down, point the toes, lift the chest, pick up the heart, launch the legs, drop your knees, turn your toes under, lift, and hinge back into the downward facing dog. Dial your right femur out just a little bit. The left foot comes behind the left hand. Up you come, feet are offset, left and right. Hips are almost squared up. Then we bend the front knee, the back hip comes with the front knee. We pause, and then with our inhale, bring the palms together, lifting up, high prayer. And then with our exhale, we're gonna go back down, step both feet back, downward facing dog. Hinge forward into the plank, Chaturanga Dandasana. Come all the way down. Lift the chest, the legs are on the floor. Lift the back bend, and then launch the legs up top. Drop your knees. As you exhale, you turn your toes under, you lift, and back we go into the downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath. Now if you can, you're going to work with your Ujjayi breathing. So bring that back into play. Soft and fluid. Look between the hands, bottom of your exhale. Let's step our feet forward. Bring our hands to our hips. Pick up the heart center, half lifting. Exhale into the forward folds. Now with our inhale, we're going to sweep the arms open, rising up to a high prayer. Pause at the top and return to the center. All right, now we're going to add another component into this. We're going to add in the fierce posture. All right, so we're going to start out, and let's just bring our hands to our hips. We're going to take a deep breath in, and we exhale, we're going to take the seat. With our inhale, bring our palms together, lift up into the fierce pose. And then as we exhale, we're going to come into our own lap, tuck our chin, and look towards navel center. Let's bring our hands to our hips. With our inhale, pick up our heart center, half lifting. Bring your hands to the floor and step both of your feet back into the downward facing dog. Now hinge forward into the plank position. Exhale, lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana. And keep in mind, you can drop your knees. Come all the way down. Now lift the back bend and then pick it up. Launch your legs, come into the upward facing dog. Eyes are off your cheekbones. Now drop your knees. Turn your toes under onto all fours. Lift, and then back you go. Downward facing dog. Now from here, you're going to dial your left femur out just a little bit. Bring your right foot forward. Now keep in mind, if you can't bring the foot forward, you can drop your knees down. Now we're going to come on up. Our feet are offset. And we're just going to take this little soft seat into Virabhadrasana 1. We finish it off by inhaling, bringing the arms up over heart center. And then as we exhale, journey back down, bring your hands back to the floor. Step both of your feet back into the down dog. Now bring your arms, bring your shoulders over your wrists, come back into the plank position. No high knees, no saggy bellies. Chaturanga Dandasana, or drop the knees. Pause and come down. Now point the toes, lift the chest. Pick yourself up, holding your heart forward, lifting up dog. Drop your knees, turn your toes under. And we pause and lift. And then as you exhale, back you go into the downward facing dog. Now, let's do the other side. So dial your right femur out just a bit. Bring your left foot forward behind the left hand. Up you come. And you can adjust your feet if you couldn't take that long of a stance. And now simply take the seat by bending the front knee, pulling your back hip forward. And then inhale, bring your arms up and over heart center. Soft eyes. So the back bend is in the hip.
So if you find that you have issues with the hips, you don't jump, find your way around. Just stay right in the movement, finding the resistance. Then exhale brings you back down over the front leg. Step both of your feet back into the downward facing dog. Now hinge forward into the plank position. Lower down, Chaturanga Dandasana, pause, come all the way down. Now pick up the chest, legs are on the floor, then pick up the back bend, then launch your legs. Drop your knees, turn your toes under, lift the knees, and up and back you go into the downward facing dog. I'm going to take a few breaths here. Now from the bottom of your breath, bring both of your feet forward. Inhale, half lifting. Exhale into your forward fold. Now we're going to do that little squat position of a fierce pose. So we bend the knees, we drop our hips. With our inhale, we're going to lift the chest up, and then we bring the arms up. Fierce posture, and then back to the beginning, back to where we started, Samastitihi. And now we'll do that one more time with all of those components put together. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, we drop our hips. Inhale, fierce posture. Exhale into our standing forward fold. Bring your hands to the hips. Pull your heart forward, half lifting. Hands to the floor. Both of your feet step back into the downward facing dog. Hinge forward into the plank, Chaturanga Dandasana. Come on down, point the toes. Lift the spine, then pick it up. Launch your legs. Drop your knees. Turn your toes under. And as you exhale, lift and back we go. Downward facing dog. Dial your left femur out. Bring your right foot forward behind the right hand. Up we come. Hands are at the hips. Bend your front knee. Pull the back hip forward. Pause. Inhale, rise up. Forward facing hero. Exhale, brings you back down. Step both feet back. Downward facing dog. Hinge forward into the plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Come on down. Lift the chest. Lift the spine. Launch the legs. Upward facing dog. Drop your knees. As you exhale, turn the toes under. Lift and back we go. Downward facing dog. Let's do the left side. So we dial our right femur out. We bring our left foot forward. Up we come. Hands are at our hips. Bend the front knee, pulling the back hip forward. Pause. Inhale, we rise up, lifting. And with our exhale, back down we go. Step back. Downward facing. Hinge forward into the plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Come on down. Point the toes. Lift the chest. Pick yourself up. Launch the legs. Drop your knees. Turn your toes under. Pause. Lift and back we go. Downward facing dog. Let's take a few breaths here. Now work with your Ujjayi breathing, smoothing out the inhalations and the exhalations. Now bottom of your exhale, look between your hands and let's step our feet forward. Hands come to the hips, half lift as you inhale. Exhale into the forward fold. Now let's bend our knees, drop our hips with our inhale. Bring the palms together, fierce posture, and release. And return to the center, back to where we started. Samastitihi, position 1. Each breath ebbing and flowing in and out. Now let's move back to our A series and we're going to come into some standing postures. So we take a deep breath in with our exhale, our arms release. Inhale, up and over heart center, high prayer. Exhale, let's go back down into our standing forward fold. Inhale, pick up your heart center, half lifting. Exhale, hands to the floor. Step both of your feet back into the downward facing dog. Now from your down dog, hinge forward into the plank. No high knees, no saggy bellies. Chaturanga Dandasana. Remember, you can drop your knees. Inhale, come forward, lifting the chest. Move your hands back a little bit. Pick your chest up in front of the arms, lifting into the up dog, or do your cobra. Launch the legs if you like, and then up and back we go. Drop the knees, turn your toes under, lift, and then hinge back. downward facing dog. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath. Okay, so now from here we're going to come into a posture which is called a wide-legged forward fold. So from your down dog, you're going to take your left foot forward, bring yourself up to standing, and you're going to rotate to face the long edge of your mat. Our hands are at our hips, and we're going to have our toes pointing straight ahead, maybe just a little bit out, but we don't want to be pigeon-toed, right? So now you're going to bend the knees very softly. You're going to hinge at the groin lines. So we want to hinge into a half forward fold, softly coming down, and you're going to look back between your legs. And then from here, just let the arms hang down underneath you, bending the knees, soften your eyes, deepen your breath. And now your legs are not completely straight. So if I turn, again, you can see that I'm going to come forward. Maybe you're just here. You can have the elbows on your thighs. You could also have a block underneath you, things like that, if you're unable to get into a deep forward fold. We're looking at folding at the groin lines, coming all the way down, but you'll notice my legs aren't super straight right now. All right. Then from here, you're going to bring your elbows back up onto your thighs, or maybe your hands are going to come back to your hips. Come up halfway. And then from here, press into the heels, lift yourself up, and come up to standing nice and tall. Now, grab a block and bring that block out in front of you, and you can have it at the lowest height, the second height, or maybe even the highest height. And we're going to come down, and we're going to do a little bit of shifting in the hips. So you're going to bend your knees, bring the hands onto the block, and even if you have a nice long line in your spine and your legs are pretty flexible, still use a block in the lowest height just to give yourself a nice long line to your spine. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start out with just a little bit of shifting with the hips. So without moving your shoulders, you're just simply going to take the inside of your right hip, drop it down, lift yourself up, and then drop the left hip down. So we're going back and forth. So I'll turn again so you can see from behind. So I'm not going to bend my legs or move my shoulders. I'm simply going to shift my hips, and we get this nice stretch on the inside of our groin lines. Now notice you're not grabbing with your feet. And you want to have a lot of weight in your feet, so sometimes we have a tendency to lean too far forward. So try to keep the weight in the feet as much as you can. Your toes are soft, they're not gripping, and you're not turning the shoulders. You're not trying to get anywhere by bending a knee or torquing at the upper torso. Nice. All right. Each breath gently ebbing and flowing. Now from here, you're going to pause back at the center, having both hands on the block. Now we're going to add a little twist here. So you're going to keep your left hand on the block. You're going to bring your right hand to the sacral plane. Now without shifting the hips, so the hips are going to stay quiet, we're going to very softly turn the belly to the right. When the belly stops, you stop. The belly turns to the right, the shoulders turn to the right, and maybe the head follows the shoulders. That's it. Wide-legged fold with a spinal twist. And then let's gently release, and we bring both of our hands back down onto the block. The right hand's going to stay on the block. The left hand comes to the sacral plane. Now we're going to turn the belly to the left, the ribs, the shoulder, maybe the head follows. That's it. So we're not turning the hips. You're not doing that action that we just did of shifting at the hips. So we stay straight and quiet from the pelvis down. Breathe. And then let's release, come back to the block, and let's do that again. Right hand on the sacral plane. Knees are slightly bent. You're not grabbing with the feet. And then we just turn the belly, the ribs, the shoulder. Notice if you shorten the body, we try to look past the hip. So you're spiraling through the spine, staying nice and straight from tailbone to the crown of your head. Now again, can you return to the Ujjayi breathing, that soft breath of a whisper? Excellent. Now gently release, look down, let yourself soften, find neutral, and then we're going to do the other side again. So the right hand stays on the block, You're gonna bring your left hand to the sacral plane. Now turn your belly, the rib cage, the shoulders. Keep the hips nice and quiet. Notice the feet. Notice anytime you're trying to shorten or shift, and if the body doesn't turn, that's okay, because you're in a really good version of a twist. All right, and now from here, gently release and bring yourself back down. Back of your neck is long. Hang down. Notice your feet that you're not grabbing. The knees are slightly bent. And notice the space that you're feeling in your spine. All the way in, all the way out. Now you can either bring your elbows back above your knees and pause there, or you can bring the hands to the hips, come up halfway, and then with our inhale, we're gonna lift the chest up, coming to standing. Now we're gonna take the feet, you're gonna pick up the ball of your left foot and you're just gonna rotate the head of your thigh bone out just about an inch or so. Pick up the right foot and do the same thing. Now we want the knees to be tracking towards the second toe. So some of you might be able to take your feet out a little wider, but don't just turn the feet, because it's not the feet, it's the head of your thigh bones that are rotating. The knees and the feet follow. Then bring the palms to the outside of your thighs, and we're gonna just take this gentle seat into the goddess variation, but we're gonna lead with the hips, not the knees and the feet. So we press out into the hands with our thighs, the knees track towards the second toe, and we're just gonna take a gentle seat down and bring yourself up. Take a gentle seat down. You might adjust the feet a little wider, come back up, go in and out, but we want the knee to be lined up with the second toe. Now once you feel a nice movement here, you're not tucking the tailbone, you're not arching, you're just taking a seat down, then if you'd like, you can gently bring the arms into goddess. Your arms are lined up, your elbows are in front of the line of the torso, and we breathe. Each breath gently ebbing and flowing, ebbing and flowing. Looks good. You feel the difference in what you've got going on now? All right. Yeah, looks good. And keep pressing out into the thighs. So you really start to feel this in the butt cheek, in the glute med and the glute max and minimus, right? So the movement, we're not taking the tailbone under, and our butt's not sticking way out behind us. So when we come down, whatever we get, we just take that little seat. And if that's it, that's it. All right, now gently release. We bring ourselves up. Heel, toe, heel, toe, until both of your feet are underneath you. And then come to the front of your mat. Let's bring our hands to heart center. We're going to release the arms down. Inhale, high prayer. Exhale, standing forward fold. Hands to hips, scoop up your heart center. Hands to floor, both feet step back into the downward facing. Hinge forward into the plank, Chaturanga Dandasana. Come on down, point the toes, lift the chest, pick yourself up, upward facing, drop the knees, turn your toes under, pause and lift and hinge back into the downward facing dog. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath, all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top. Now really lengthen and extend. Give yourself a nice long spine, long arms. Deepen your breath. All right, now from here, we're gonna bring the shoulders over the wrists, and you're gonna come back into the plank position, and we're gonna slowly lower down to the floor, and you're gonna stay on the floor. All right, now we're gonna work towards a posture which is called a bow pose, but we're gonna break things down to really get the sense of using the spine and not just trying to use the hands and the feet to do the posture, right? So we're gonna start out first off by just bringing the arms along the sides of the torso and put your forehead or your chin down on the floor. It doesn't matter, whichever one feels better for you. Maybe you have a little bit of a tightness in the neck. Then you're gonna take your hands and you're gonna bring them palms face up right underneath the groin line. And so this is right where the leg joins the hip.
And what I'd like you to do is gently push your pubic bone down so that you feel the groin lines press down into your hands. Now, whether you have the chin on the floor or the forehead on the floor, it's just fine. And what you're going to do is take your elbows and you're going to move your elbows toward your feet. And you're going to take the shoulder blades down and you're going to lift your chest up just a little bit. And as you do that, you're going to keep pushing your pubic bone down and keep burying the hands with your groin lines. So you feel like you can't pull your hands out because they're squishing up. Your knees are on the floor and your feet are on the floor. So you're not raising the legs with the quads. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath. Now, keeping the legs down, you're going to try to lift your chest higher and bring your knees towards your feet. Or excuse me, bring your elbows towards your feet. Breathe. And then very gently, you're going to come on down, take your arms out, and then just turn a cheek and shake out your butt. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath. Okay, and then from here, forehead down or chin down, whichever you prefer. Take the fingers, put them back underneath the groin line. And now again, elbows are going to go towards your feet. You're going to lift your chest up, but the feet stay on the floor, the knees stay on the floor. You're pushing the pubic down, you're burying the groin lines. Lift the heart center forward and breathe. Now what I'd like you to do here is you're going to bend your right knee. Keep the groin lines buried. Straighten the leg out. Bend your left knee. Keep the groin lines buried. Straighten the leg out. Right knee bends. Straighten the leg. Left knee bends. Straighten the leg. Now this time, if you can, you're going to bend both knees without letting your groin lines come away from the floor. So you keep pushing the pubic bone down. Doesn't matter how deeply you bend the knees. Do not let the groin lines lift. You're trying to bring the heels towards your butt cheeks, lifting your chest up. And then very gently, you're going to come down, straighten the leg, release your arms, and turn your opposite cheek to the floor. And shake out your butt cheeks, back and forth, rocking side to side. Breathe. All the way in, all the way out with your breath. Now let's bring the forehead or the chin down again. Now this time, we're going to bring the hands underneath the groin lines. We're going to lift the chest up, take our elbows towards our feet. Then we're going to bend our knees and keep the pubic bone pressing down. Now take the hands out and bring the arms along the sides of your torso. Just keep pulling the heels towards your hips, pushing your pubic bone down, and then just reaching back with your hands and see if you can find your ankles. Now, if you can't find them, just keep reaching, lifting the chest up. Now, for those of you who have a hold of the ankles, then from here, you're going to see if you can just start to slowly try to straighten out the legs, and you're going to just reach back, holding the ankles. You're going to let the legs do the work. Your shoulder blades are down your back. You keep pushing the pubic bone towards the floor. And now gently release. You're going to come down, release your legs, release your arms, turn your cheek, and then just shake out your butte. Soften your eyes, deepening your breath. All the way in, all the way out. Now let's bring the hands along the sides of our chest. We're going to lift up onto our hands and knees. You're just going to sit back into the child's pose. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath, all the way to the bottom, all the way to the top. Relaxing your jawline, working with your ujjayi breathing. Smooth and seamless. Can you feel the breath into the kidneys, into the back line of your body? Soft, 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 soft. Eyes, tongue has space. And we're creating a seamless breath. So now you're going to lift yourself up, come back onto the belly.
Now from here, same action. So you're gonna bring the arms along the sides of your torso. Keep the pubic bone pressing. Now you're gonna simply bend your knees and bring your heels towards your butt cheeks. Now if you like to, you can put the hands under the groin lines, or if you're able to, you'll just simply reach back for the feet. Now once you have yourself set, keep the pubic bone pressing, and very softly, you're gonna try to start to straighten out the legs and let the legs take your arms behind you. Now feel your shoulder blades, and we're not squeezing the shoulder blades together. The shoulder blades are just gently moving down your back. You're gently pressing the feet back, so you're trying to straighten out through your legs. Just enough effort. Now notice, are you trying to do this with your face, or are you looking down softly? You're lifting your chest and you're breathing. And when you're ready, you softly come down, releasing, and shake out your butte. So just gently rock side to side, softening through your hips. Let the legs relax at the head of the femurs, soften through the spine. Each breath gently ebbing and flowing. And again, work with your Ujjayi breathing. That gentle breath of a whisper, so you can iron out the breath. Soften, lengthen. Hear the gentle flow. Breathe. All right, now bring your hands underneath your shoulders again. We're gonna lift ourselves up and we're gonna press back now, this time into the downward facing dog. Pressing back, lengthening out through the spine. Feel the length in the shoulders, the legs, the spine, calves. And then let's hinge forward into the plank position. Chaturanga Dandasana. We come on down, point our toes, lift the chest, then pick up the back bend, launch the legs. You could also just do the up dog. Up dog or the cobra. Now drop the knees, turn your toes under, lift, and back you go into the downward facing dog. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath, all the way in, all the way out. Breathe. And now let's bring our shoulders back over our wrists, and we're going to softly come back down onto the belly. Now we're going to take the arms, and we're going to bring the arms out in front of us, and we're going to do something that is called the lying boat variation. So we have the fingertips on the floor, we're lengthening out through the crown, we're just lifting the armpits, and we're pushing the pubic bone down gently again, just like when we were sitting on the fingers. So this is that same energy of flattening the front of the groin lines. And now from here, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna slide the fingertips a little bit towards our chest, lift the chest up, keep the shoulders on the back, and then we're just gonna breathe right here. Now some of you, this might be all that you do, and this is fabulous. Otherwise, if you're able to, you're gonna see if you can launch your legs, and then if you can, you're gonna lift your arms. Palms can face each other, face down, lying boat variation. And we breathe, reaching back, try to keep your legs as straight as you can. Doesn't matter how high up you come away from the floor. Then you're gonna release and just bring one hand on the other underneath your head. Just turn your cheek, shake out your butte. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath. All the way to the bottom, all the way to the top. Now we're going to do that again. Let's lengthen out to the arms. So now if you found that that was a little bit difficult, you can keep your head down, and what you'll do is you'll lift your right arm and your left leg. Bring both of the limbs down, pick up your right leg and your left arm, and down. If that's not a problem, right arm, left leg, and then you can lift the head and the chest as well. Release, left arm, right leg. And we don't rotate at the torso. We're just lifting the legs straight back and up. And then release, and one hand on the other. Turn your cheek, and just shake out your butte again. Soften your eyes, deepen your breath. All the way in, all the way out. And now this time, bring the arms along the sides of the torso. Palms face the floor, or you can have the back of the hands on the floor.
I like to bend my elbows just a little bit. I prefer the hands facing downward with the palms. Then you're gonna press into the hands, lift the chest up, push the pubic bone down. The elbows are towards your feet. Now you can keep the legs on the floor. If you'd like to, you can launch them up. Variation on lion boat, Shalabhasana, locust posture. Breathe. And then very gently, down you go. One hand on top of the other under the face. Turn the head the opposite direction. And again, shake out your butte. All the way to the bottom. All the way to the top. Excellent. Okay, now let's bring the hands by the sides of your chest. You're going to press yourself up and back you go into the downward facing dog. Soften your eyes, deep inhalations and exhalations. And now bring your knees back down onto the floor. Point your toes, and we're just going to simply rock back onto the heels. Come forward, shoulders over the wrists. Rock back. Come forward. Rock back and forward. And we want to keep the line of the spine even from the tail to the crown of the head. So notice if you're rounding, just pause right where you need to. Right there, Keith, and back. Don't go so far. Bring your knees closer to your hands. And just rock back without the rounding. So we don't want to be rounding. We want to stay level and then rock back. So just keep the spine nice and long. Focus on the groin lines and the armpits. Come back up. Groin lines to the armpits. So a lot of times we want to rack back and we're looking to round instead of just simply hinging. And I want sure that you don't sag. So come up, stay here, and then go back. Pause, and go back. So focus more on this line staying straight. And sometimes it's just you can't feel it. So we slow down, take time, and then from here, we're going to pause and sit back onto the heels, and now we're going to come into the dolphin position. So with the dolphin position, it's like a down dog on your elbows. So you're going to interlace your fingers, and our elbows are going to be right underneath our shoulders. And then we're going to take the hands and place them down and place the elbows down. I like to take my finger, the little finger, and do that with them so that I have this nice level surface to work with. Now from here, you're going to turn your toes under, have your feet about hip width, your knees hip width or even wider. And then you're going to push into your forearms, lift your knees up, drop your head and look back between your feet. And then lift the hips up. And what we're trying to do is get our hips over the shoulders, which are over your elbows, and your head just hangs between the arms. Doesn't matter how close the feet are, we want to be able to work with the shoulders, with the head coming away from the hands, going towards the feet as your shoulders move. Now we're going to release, we drop our knees down. Now you sit back on your heels, your arms are going to internally rotate, palms face up by the sides of your feet, and just let the arms relax. So this will give us an internal rotation with the arm to release what we just did. And now let's do that again. So we're going to interlace the fingers, put the elbows on the floor, shoulder width apart, we push into the forearms, and now we're going to turn the toes under, and we lift the knees up using the feet, and we press back like we're going to be doing a downward facing dog. Now, consider the outsides of your armpits moving towards your legs, and then we just gently press back. And you want to lift up away from the floor. Lifting up away from the floor. You can keep walking towards your elbows with your feet and trying to get the armpits to meet the legs and the hips to the sky. And then very gently we release and we sit back down onto the heels, child's pose. So again, we have this external rotation in the posture, so then we bring our arms around behind us, internally rotating, just letting the shoulders drop forward, put the top of the head or the forehead down, get the heels towards your hips. and breathe. And let's do that one more time. So we're going to interlace the fingers, put the forearm down onto the floor. We lift up and back we go. Dolphin position. Breathe. This is our prep posture for our headstand. And so after you're able to really hold this pose, we're not sagging, so we're not in a back bend, nor are we in a rounded position at the shoulders. The legs don't need to be straight. Really envision you have a nice straight spine, lifting, folding at the groin lines. Soften your eyes, using your Ujjayi breathing. And then again, let's drop our knees down, put the hips back onto the heels, internally rotating, head down, child's pose. Each breath, ebbing and flowing. And then from here, we're going to bring our hands out in front of us and we're going to come into the downward facing dog position again. Now you could stay in the down dog unless you'd like to run through a vinyasa. So we come into the plank position, Chaturanga Dandasana. Come on down, lift the chest, stay in the cobra, or pick up the upward facing dog. Drop your knees, turn your toes under. We lift and hinge back into the downward facing dog. Now from here, let's take the knees to the space between the hands and we'll sit on down. And we're going to come into some floor movements. So we're going to work with the cobra position, or excuse me, cobbler position. So let's work with the cobbler position. Bring the bottoms of our feet together. Now I'm sitting up on a cushion. So sitting up on that cushion, what it does is it allows me to sit up nice and tall without having this rounded, scooped kind of energy. So I don't want my pubic bone lifting. I want my pubic bone to actually be moving towards the floor, and the top edge of my sacrum, which is that fused plate that's just below my lowest vertebra, I want to have that tipping slightly forward. So I have the natural lumbar curve. The bottoms of my feet are together and my knees are lengthening away from each other, and I'm sitting up nice and tall. So I can have my hands on the cushion that I'm sitting on. I can just simply stay here. Maybe I'm strong enough and I have enough space in my spine that I could put my hands on my knees, or I could gently bring my hands onto my ankles. Now, wherever I am with my arms, I'm not actually using them to do much of anything. So I'm sitting tall, and this is cobbler Baddha Konasana, cobbler posture, bound angle pose, or closed angle posture. Then from here, what I'm looking to do is my pubic bone is going to keep reaching towards the floor, and my upper thighs are externally rotating. So I'm pressing out that way as I bring my pubic bone towards the earth. When my hips stop, I stop. So if I'm trying to come forward and that doesn't happen, I don't get my back into this rounded position. So I'm not trying to get my head anywhere. If I have a vision of where I'm going to go, it would be my pubic bone going towards the floor and my navel coming over my big toe. The feet press together gently and the knees lengthen away. So from a front position, bottoms of the feet together, knees lengthening out, and then very softly, I'm just leaning forward so you can see how I'm not really using my arms. I can use my hands and breathing. Maybe you find yourself all the way down. Now sometimes we can have issues with our knee joints, so you can bring blocks underneath the knees, you can bring yourself up higher. So if you look like this in your posture, we need to make some changes, right? So get higher, get some support underneath the knees until eventually you can sit up nice and tall, and then this movement might be possible.
return to your Ujjayi breathing. Soften your eyes. Relax your jawline. Deepen your breath. And then from here, we're going to gently release. Now you bring your legs together. You take the blocks out, and then we're going to take our legs and stretch them out to the sides. We're going to come into a wide-legged seated forward fold. So we did the standing version, and now we're going to do the seated version. Same action though with your spine. I'm sitting up on a little cushion, which is allowing my pelvis to tip. My toes are pointed straight up to the ceiling. My knees are pointed straight up to the ceiling. Now I can just simply sit here tall. Maybe I can have my hands on the floor. Maybe I have my hands on the cushion. Softly, I would like to bring the pubic bone towards the floor, keeping my thighs level. So the knees stay straight up. I'm not externally rotating my legs so my feet turn out, and I'm not internally rotating my legs so my feet turn in. I want the toes up, knees up, hips set, and then my pubic bone is moving towards the floor as I lengthen out through the crown of my head. So if I turn to the side, see how I have this little lift, spine is tall, and I lean forward, moving at the groin lines. There'll be a uniform curve that starts to come, and then eventually maybe you can hold your feet, your hands are at your ankles, just hands on the floor is fine. You might find yourself all the way down, but you'll notice the lines don't change, so I don't have my legs rolling open or in to make space for something that I might not be able to do. Follow your breath all the way in and out. The knees can also be bent, so if you find that you have an issue with this posture, you could put a little bit of something underneath the thighs like that, and so then you sit up nice and tall. This will be more attainable and you'll feel more supported. You can keep changing the height until over time you'll end up sitting with the legs straight. Okay? Wide-legged seated forward fold. Breathe. Okay, now from here when you're ready, you're going to rise up. We're going to bring our legs together and then stretch them out in front of us. Roll the ankles in and out, point and flex. And now we're going to come into another vinyasa. So we'll clear the things off of our mats. We're going to bring our hands back to the floor, step both of our feet back into the downward dog. Now your downward dog might just be all you do for your vinyasa. Remember, you can also drop to the knees, just rock back and forth, and again do little cat stretches. Or from here, Chaturanga Dandasana, come on down, Cobra or upward facing dog, drop your knees, turn the toes under, we lift, and back we go, downward facing dog. Look between the hands, and again, we're gonna bring the knees to the space between our hands, and we're gonna sit on down. So now we're gonna come into a bridge position, so you're gonna grab your block, and we're gonna lay onto our back, and we're gonna have our feet about hip width or wider, just close enough to your hips that the fingertips touch. Then we grab our block, we bring the block between our thighs. Take your arms, reach them up, palms face each other, and then just bend the elbows and bring the arms along the sides of your torso and bring them in. So we've broken this down before. We're using the block to stabilize the thighs and keep from overusing the glute medius. Now from here, without using our feet or our arms, we're just gonna do a little bit of pelvic tilting. So we take the back edge of our sits bones towards the floor, which lightens our lower back. And then we're gonna pull our pubic bone towards our navel, which flattens our lower back. So we're doing pelvic tilting, breathing. And we want the spine not to drag along. So just working from our navel down. So we might have to do less and less and less until the head and shoulders are quiet. Then we're gonna pause right when we're not arching or flattening our back. Then from here, without tucking our tailbone, we're just gonna simply lift the belly towards the ceiling. We actually let our hips feel heavy.
as we rise up. And then we're going to gently drop the hips back down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, drop the hips down. Inhale, rise up. Now this time, take your chest towards your chin. Now you're using the muscles in your back. You're not using the arms. And then very softly, let's drop down. You'll have that lightness in the chest. And then we come back up. Dropping down, come back up. You're not using your feet. You're really not using the legs. You're using the butt cheeks, but in a way that they're doing this. So you're not tightening up your butt cheeks. You're lifting your hips, lifting your chest. Now, if you like, you can stay up, hold the posture, breathe, take your time. Doesn't matter how high up you go. The backs of the arms are gently pressing. We're lengthening out through our spine. We breathe. The neck is free, the chest is lifting. Notice that you're not using your feet. There's a softness there as you lift up. And again, if you don't want to hold the pose, you lift and you drop. Lift and you drop. Breathe. In and out. In and out. And then when you're ready, very softly, lower yourself back down. Take the block out and just put the block off to the side. You're just going to find neutral. Ebbing and flowing. Now from here, let's take our legs up and we're going to take our arms up. And we call this pose Cowardly Lion. And you want to feel just a neutral spine, so you're not flattening anything. Your shoulders are touching the floor, the shoulder blades. Fingers are reaching up. Now, you have just enough effort in your arms that they don't smack you in the face. And you're going to lift up the hips and take the toes towards the ceiling. So you're going to be tightening up the lower abdominal wall. Your lower back will be flattening because there is a tucking and a pulling of the pubic bone. Launching the legs towards the ceiling without them bringing them towards you. Arms are relaxed. And then we're going to gently release, and you're going to bend the knees so that you have a right angle on your legs and your arms are reaching straight up. So it's like you're an action figure that was sitting in a chair and the chair just kind of tipped back and you're reaching out. Now from here, without using the other two limbs, you're going to take your right leg and bring it at a 45-degree angle, left arm at a 45-degree angle. You're not flattening your back. Bring both of those limbs back to neutral. Now take your left leg to a 45, your right arm to a 45. Back to neutral. Right arm, left leg. Back to neutral. Left leg, right arm. Back to neutral. One more time. Right leg, left arm, back to neutral. And left leg, right arm, back to neutral. And then release. Bring the legs down, bring the arms down. Nice abdominal work, keeping everything set and neutral. Then from here, let's bring our knees in. We're gonna roll up another vinyasa, which could just be a downward facing dog. Otherwise, you'll go back to the down dog. Stay in down dog and then hinge forward into the plank. Chaturanga Dandasana. Come on down, point the toes, lift your chest, and then pick up the back bend. Drop your knees, turn your toes under, pause, lift, and back we go. Downward facing dog. And then from here, we're just simply drop our knees down and sit back on our heels. And we're going to do our shoulder stand. So if you do not want to do the shoulder stand, if you've got issues with your neck or this, you just feel really uncertain about the shoulder stand, that's fine. What you're going to do is you're going to take a blanket or two, and you're going to bring that blanket or two onto your yoga mat. And then we're going to take the mat, and we bring the mat up above, on the top of the blanket. And I leave about 6 inches or so at the top so that I move around a little bit. Now, if you have issues, maybe a tightness in your neck, but you don't have anything physically wrong with your neck, then you would put a second blanket maybe to give you a little bit more space.
This is not recommended for people who have uncontrolled high blood pressure, if you have detached retina, if you have glaucoma, or any other diagnosis that has pressure to the sensory organs of the eyes and ears. Don't go upside down, all right? Real simple, don't do this posture. Otherwise, what we're gonna do is you lay back and your head is on the floor. You're gonna bring the shoulders inside the edge of the blanket, and then what we're gonna do is pick our feet up and bring them overhead. So the arms rest along the sides, just like the bridge. The hips pick up, and then up and overhead, you're gonna go with your legs. Now, if your feet don't touch the floor, they don't need to. Otherwise, if you can touch the floor with your feet, then gently organize your shoulders. You bring your hands into your lower back, and now maybe you bring one leg up or both together. You decide how you want to work it. If you get up there and you feel tension in the eyes or in the face, then you just simply bring yourself back down. Now from here, you're going to try to stand on the ceiling. So you're lifting the weight of the legs off your torso. Breathe. Soft, 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 soft eyes. You're walking the elbows towards each other a bit. Lengthen out through your spine. Each breath, smooth and seamless. So again, checking on your Ujjayi breathing, that sound breath, the gentle breath of a whisper. Soft, soft eyes. Deep, deep, deep breath. All the way in, all the way out. All the way in, all the way out. Each breath coming and going. You're softly looking to the feet or to the navel. Now when we're ready to come down, we're going to bring our feet back down overhead. Come into the plow if you can. Now if you can't touch the floor, you can just hover. For those of you who are able to touch the floor, lifting the hips, come into the plow position. And then if it's possible, you can bend your knees and put your knees onto your forehead, or maybe you can bring your knees down by your ears. Inverted ball posture. Soft, soft eyes. Deep breath. Now to come down, you can grab the back edge of your mat as a lever point, or you can use hands flat. You're going to slowly roll down one vertebra at a time. And then once you're down, you can slowly lower the legs. You don't want the head lifting, so you try to stay down. And then you're just going to release, hanging here, breathing, soft, fluid breath, Ujjayi. Now, because we're on a blanket stack, we want to get off of that before we do our fish position. If you didn't have blankets underneath you, then you could just lift up and do the fish position. So I'm going to take my blanket out, move it off to the side. Now, if I was to come out of my shoulder stand and I didn't have any props, I bring my hands by the sides of my hips, I sit on the edge of my thumbs, and I slowly lower my legs. My elbows are right underneath my shoulders, shoulder width, not bringing them in any closer. I lift my chest, let my neck melt back, and then I just slide towards my head until the back of my head touches the floor. So I'm kind of like on that top corner if my head was square. My eyes are off my cheekbones. This is the classical fish position right here. Maybe I release my hands. I don't need my arms. Bring my hands to heart center. I can tap my sternum. Soft eyes, deep breath. To get out of this posture, if I'm in the full pose, I bring my fingers overhead, lift, and I come back down. Now you can see there's variations with a soccer ball and a ball, a bolster in the back. If you want a much softer, gentler approach to the posture, you can use a block, things like that. So if you find that, I can't really put weight on my head, that hurts my neck, then by all means, do not do that. So you can have the block, you lay back, soften your eyes, knees can stay bent.
Breathe. You can also have the legs straight. And the bottoms of the feet can come together, knees falling out. It's a really nice stretch for the armpit, pec area. When you're going to come out, if you're using a prop, you have your hands underneath your head to support the upper spine as you come out of the movements. So follow your breath all the way in, all the way out. All the way in, all the way out. Just bring your feet more like you're just standing on them. Yeah, not too much with the toes, just at the ankle. Yeah. And then when you're ready, find your way out. Unless you're in a supported position where you could do Shavasana. So what you see with Allie here, she could stay there and have just a great Shavasana because she's in a very supported, soft position. Otherwise, you'll come up, you can do another vinyasa if you'd like to. Hang into a forward fold. Make sure that there's nothing lingering in your spine. Breathe. And then from here, you can move to another vinyasa if you'd like to. Stepping back, maybe just the down dog, or maybe a few cat stretches. Otherwise, vinyasa. Picking up the back bend, drop the knees. As you exhale, hinging back, down face. And then we come to, sit on down, cross your ankles, and then time to come into Shavasana. So you'll have your bolster if you'd like to. You can put your layers on. Maybe you put a blanket over the top of you for cushion. Warmth, whatever you might want to use your props for. Lay back. You want the face parallel to the floor, so maybe you need a little lift. You could also put your legs up the wall. You could put your legs up on the seat of a couch or a chair, whatever feels right for you. Just simply allow your body to soften, settle down into gravity. Nothing you need to do, but simply be present. Feel the breath as it ebbs and flows. Nothing you need to do, but simply be here. Be with your body, with your breath. All the way in, all the way out. Soft, 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 soft eyes. Each breath. Nothing for you to do. You've done it so brilliantly. Wonderful practice. And then with Shavasana, it's the posture of a corpse. So we're allowing the death of our practice. We're allowing ourselves to simply let go and be with the breath as it gently ebbs and flows, comes and goes. Nothing you need to do, but simply be here, be with your body, be with your breath. Feel the weight of your head, shoulders, hips, backs of the arms, legs. Feel the weight of the backs of the hands, the heels as they gently drop down. And soften through the inner thighs, releasing your groin lines, allowing everything to soften and become fluid. Envision that your skin is expanding. Slipping away from your frame.
You simply allow yourself to rest inside your breath. Nothing you need to do. Be here with your body, ebbing and flowing, ebbing and flowing. Soft, fluid, effortless. And now when you're ready, you'll gently begin to add movement as you deepen your inhalations and your exhalations. Can you work with your Ujjayi breath once again? Smooth, seamless inhales and exhales, just enough effort. And then from here, you'll give yourself a little stretch. Bend the knees, gently roll off to your side and use both of your arms to gently press away from the floor, moving slowly, following your breath in and out, in and out. You can bring a little bit of something underneath your hips, legs can be whatever configuration that works for you right now. Let's gently bring our hands to heart center. We'll take a deep breath in. Exhale. Now let's take a breath to chant. Another deep breath in. Another breath. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Namaste. So thank you for joining me again. This concludes lesson number 5 in our 6-week program. And I look forward to seeing you at lesson number 6. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful day. Take good care. Bye for now.